adoption of the agenda. Councillor Brooks Hill, Councillor Charlotte, all those in favor? Motion's carried. I'll ask for the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 2019. Councillor Brooks Hill, Councillor Charlotte, all in favor? Motion's carried. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Councillor Elliott.
How do we get the plastic bag thing, single-use plastics resolved quicker than... I'm wondering how we move it through the system.
Okay, so at this point in time, we're still going to have conversation with the chamber and some of the businesses to see how that would affect them. We want to have some sort of conversation with them and with the businesses, have that come back, and then we can have a conversation as to whether we push that through or how we deal with that. And so at this point, to say unilaterally we're going to have no more plastic bags as of July 1st, 2019 is not on the table at this point in time. However, if we have a conversation with the chamber and businesses, then maybe we could deal with that. Councillor Charlotte.
I'm also hoping it'll be on the agenda for the next environmental committee.
Okay.
Environmental Advisory Committee. Unfortunately, the next meeting overlaps with our special budget meeting for the debate of the public comments, so I'm not sure what the timing is going to be on that, Rob, but I can let you know.
Yeah, I just, personally, I feel time, we don't have time. We just keep pushing this thing, and it's an easy one to hit on, and it just sets the tone.
Right.
We're going to move ahead on this, hell or high water, damn the torpedoes. It may not be the best decision to solve all the problems, but at least we can make it happen.
As much as I appreciate your tone on the urgency with doing that, I think that's fantastic, but I also think it sets a tone if we unilaterally decide on that and tell businesses what they want to do. City has not historically had a great relationship with business and chamber. I think this is a great opportunity to extend the olive branch and have that dialogue in a mutually beneficial way and still get it done efficiently.
It's nothing new, just that's something that's been on the table for many. Quite Ontario is considering doing that. We're just a small.
There's lots of communities that are considering doing it, and some are actually slowing the process down to make sure that they do it right, because they watch other communities that have gone full bore, torpedoes ahead, let's get it done, and they're going like, oh, we made a mistake. And it isn't a mistake so much as what are our options, how do we integrate it, those sorts of things. So we want to have that conversation. I get where you're coming from, but by the same token, let's have that conversation before we just rush into it. Are you okay with that? Okay. Any other further business from those minutes? Seeing none, I'm going to move on. Just a couple announcements. I want to make it quite clear that today is March 12th, and we've asked for public input regarding the budget. So I think Tanya is willing to receive information to the end of the day or the end of the work day today regarding that, and then that input will be put into a package for council to look at later on this month. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Wanted to just mention that TELUS Insights is a little bit of their information has come out in the last week. So I encourage people to find that. That's, I believe, on our website, Ms. Brennan?
Yes, it's on the CD branch page of the website.
Okay, on the CED branch of the website. Appreciate that. Tells us a little bit more regarding population and numbers, so encourage people to have a look at that, and if they have concerns, by all means, they can contact us. We'd like to hear some input from the community that will help us deal with some of the problems that we're posed with as we go forward. So I'm going to move on to item 6A, development permit. Michael, you have a presentation?
I do.
All right.
I think I've got the right one here. Your Worship, members of council, good afternoon. We're revisiting this development permit application from our previous meeting. The reason being that there are variances for the signage built into this development permit, and so that requires us to revisit it after we've distributed the 100-meter notifications from the subject property as per our development procedures bylaw and the Local Urban Act.
Okay.
So, nope, that's not the right remote.
Oh, you need the black one.
I need the black one.
That one works good for a pointer.
Yeah.
You gotta get that.
Sure was out.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh,
I said to look.
So to refresh your memories, so this development permit application is regarding the sort of the form and character of the site. It was a rebuild of the current A&W within the existing footprint, and the purpose is to sort of bring the appearance and the building into alignment with their new corporate branding, and the signage is a part of that. So again, going through the zoning, the official community plan land use designation, the OCP land use is for highway commercial, and our zoning is for C4, which is our highway commercial zone, both of which restaurant is a permitted use. So just briefly going over some of the design elements of the building. Wood and stone finish were incorporated around the exterior. There's a orange illuminated boomerang that we discussed in the last meeting that goes around the perimeter at the top of the building with pot lighting sort of underneath. They've slanted the facade of the main entrance, and the site will also include a new garbage enclosure and enhanced landscaping. And of course, we're here to discuss the signage, which will be primarily for the drive-through and to align with their corporate branding. Here are some elevation drawings just to give you sort of an idea of how it will look. I'm trying to use a laser pointer here. So they've got a canopy sign there. They've got fascia signs around here on the exterior side of the building, and some sort of changeable copy, what we would consider changeable copy advertisement signs under our bylaw that will just advertise promotional items for their restaurants. So to go through the variances, what this will permit, basically what we're looking at is permitting the fascia signage for changeable copy advertisements, as it says there, to permit for the new canopy signage, which will go at the main entrance of the building, to permit for the freestanding sign, so it will allow, so there's an existing freestanding sign there now. The variance will allow for a slightly larger freestanding sign, as well as integrating a changeable copy sign with removable lettering, the one that you see there now, as well as allowing for drive-through signage for ordering. The reason that the signage was incorporated in the development permit was that it's designed to be complementary of the design elements of the building. So the variance proceeded through the procedure as set out in the development variance permit. The Development Approvals Procedures Bylaw 2097, as well as the Local Government Act, where notices were distributed with 100 meters of property. No comments were received. So here's some photo examples, just briefly, of what we'd be looking at here from an existing location in Alberta. So you have canopy signage here. You have a freestanding sign here with a changeable copy sign here, as well as some directional signage for the drive-through, some ordering signage for the drive-through, and some other promotional signage they have on the building. So our recommendation is to issue the development permit, and variances for the signage have been incorporated in that development permit. All right. Questions?
Any questions from councilors before we put the motion on the table? Seeing none, I'm going to say thank you for that form. I appreciate you putting that together. It's actually nice to see that the proponent is willing to upgrade that building, and nice that other building next to it has been upgraded over the past few years, and we see this come forward as well. It's nice thing for the community.
So Gary, was there a discussion about having backlit signs as being something we're trying to discourage or something with the change of our in the last meetings previously?
We were talking about a boomerang, which is backlit.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was some discussion around how that affected the, so we have a dark skies policy in our official community plan, and there was discussion around how that affected that particular policy in the RCP.
And I might just add too, we were talking a little bit about the luminaires too, and trying to restrict the luminaires.
Yeah.
And A&W has proposed like a dimmer, and it's restricted to 38. Because we did a study about where the luminaires were in other areas, so we're trying to manage that from that perspective.
We didn't try to match the LED version of it.
He's 38.
That'll be another conversation. Okay, any other further questions? Otherwise, I'll ask somebody to put this forward. Councilor Sherlock?
The development permit DP 2018-16 be approved for
Is
issuance.
there a second? Councilor Ryan? Any further discussion on the issue? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you both for your presentation. We're going on to delegations and presentations. So the 2018 annual budget report from the Chamber of Commerce, the Revelstoke Visitor Center, all those things in one building. Jana and her crew, please come forward.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us. I am Jana Thompson, the Executive Director of the Revelstoke Chamber of Commerce. I think I've met all of you now, but for anybody that I have not met. And I have Eva Kopian, our Marketing Coordinator for Tourism Revelstoke, as well as essentially our Visitor Center Marketing Manager, not Marketing Manager, she does it all. So we just wanted to kind of do the highlights of what we do with the budget that we received from the city, as well as highlight a lot of initiatives that our teams had going on in 2018 for you. Is this right? This the right one? Close enough. So just the mission and vision of the Revelstoke Chamber of Commerce is to represent all of our members' interests in promoting Revelstoke as with the progressive and development of our community, just to make it a better place to do business, live, work, and play. We're essentially trying to raise the profile of the full Revelstoke business community because we really feel, the rising tides float all the boats, so to speak. So the success of one business really leads to the success of your neighbors and all the business in town. And it's a great networking opportunity for all the business community in Revelstoke as well. So our aim is to support the full economy, whether you're chamber members or not. We welcome new members that are interested in moving into the community to start a business. We run the multi-day stays, encourage new residents to move here, bring their jobs, bring their skills, just for the lifestyle to move here, much like the city staff does as well. Our board of directors represents the business community, but for you all, we are also a conduit to the business community for gaining information from them to bring back to you, or taking information or requests that you would like and take back to our members. So we really encourage that open communication, and we'll, as you all know, we're working forward just to make introductions and to make that a little more approachable for both of us as well, just to carry on that positive relationship. So here's just a couple of core objectives. I'm just going to skip kind of through ours a bit quickly because the girls do have a lot of high-level information to share with you. But in 2018, we had 340 active members of the Chamber of Commerce. And like you can see, we do member engagement services, community connections, advocacy for the business sector, and have lots of benefit practices for all chamber members. So just to get right into the budget, we received $90,000 from the city in 2018, and this is a long-standing sum that we've received from what I can look back, it was 5+ years it's been that amount. So for tourism marketing, we use it for the brochures and distribution of those brochures, digital and print media marketing, trade shows, conferences, media hosting, and event support. And the visitor center, it's all used for staff waging. So welcome, Gillian.
Hi, I'm Jana for the ones that don't know me, and I've been managing the visitor center for the last 4 years now. I'm going to keep it short. There's a lot of things that we actually do, but feel free to email me if you have questions on anything that's written down that I'm not touching. So that's a quick overview of what we've been doing in 2018. We operate 7 days a week, year-round. We're only closed 3 days a year since 2017 now. We were able to secure CBT, Columbia Basin Trust grant money for our weekend student in the winter. And we're also stretching a seasonal position into a year-round position now. So I have somebody working year-round with me as well. As you can see, our hours are still very short in the winter. We have been closing early in the winter because it was not that busy, but now we're feeling that pressure that people are coming later in the day. So we're going to have to change that with the new visitor trends that are changing as well. As the center is getting busier, we see a new thing is all the requests we get online. So we are helping people on social media. We are doing a lot of pre-planning via email, TripAdvisor, Google, and a lot more platforms. Our year-round person have been taking on pretty much those activities, and she's busy daily responding to emails and giving advice to visitors that are coming in the next year. She's also been keeping up our community event calendar up to date, so it's been really full and very useful for hopefully all the businesses in town. We are supporting the local businesses the best we can and providing them with brochure, maps, and information for their customers. We're also doing community ticket sales for shows and things like that, and trying to get as much visitors going to these shows as well. We're running a souvenir shop as well, and that's been helping us a little bit with budget, but so far we've only been putting that money back in the shop to grow it bigger every year. We're offering mobile services in the high season. So in 2018, we've been attending RMR and the Summit of Mount Revelstoke and give visitor information to people visiting those areas. And we do a lot more, obviously. That's just a few things. Statistics. So in 2018, we've seen over 63,000 people through the door. That's 9% more than 2017. And it's also 43% more since 4 years. I think it's also very important to mention that we've been affected by the wildfires in 2018 again. The last 2 years, we've seen a considerable drop in August numbers, but it hasn't affected our numbers overall during the year. Just a quick fun fact here, on average, we see 20 people per hour over the year. If you take just the summer months, you'll find we talk to about 35 people an hour, and the busiest hours we have is over 200 people. So we just have a breakdown here about in the origin of visitors in the different seasons. So it's very consistent, actually, as you can see, except for two places. So BC visitors are quite a bit more present in the winter months, and then in the summer, it's a majority of Europeans that are visiting Revelstoke, from 21% in the winter, into 51% in the summer months. So in 2019, unfortunately, we still have challenges. They're pretty much the same they've been for many years. Our grant-based funding has been difficult. It's unsure every year. We're not sure we're going to get it. We've been very lucky in the last 4 years. We've been getting a lot of grants, but that's uncertain every year. The increase in minimum wage is a new thing that's challenging us. The BC government is increasing the minimum wage by 20% over the next 2 years. We're also understaffed in shoulder months and winter now, as we're seeing the pressure to open longer hours. On the brighter side, we're working on very exciting projects. We're trying to secure more stable funding. So I'm not going to get into this because we've added a letter for you guys to see about increasing funding for 2020. So we can discuss that another time. We are also always looking at increasing the local knowledge for our visitors. We are working at enhancing our mobile services. So this project has been really successful over the years. We've been doing it for 4 years, and we realize it makes a big difference for our businesses in town. So in 2019, we're hoping to attend the summit of Mount Revelstoke and draw the visitors into downtown to our local businesses and extend their stay, hopefully. We were shocked to realize how many people go up to the top of Mount Revelstoke and don't actually know everything that Revelstoke has to offer. And finally, we are in the middle of starting a new project called the Global Greeters. So that's an international volunteer service. In short, visitors will be contacting some volunteers called local greeters from Revelstoke. And these volunteers are going to be people that love Revelstoke and that want to share with our visitors. So they'll meet for about an hour maybe with the visitors as they get here, and they're going to share their passion about Revelstoke. So the Global Greeters, they have over 200 destinations around the world, and Revelstoke will be the second city in BC to offer that service after Vancouver, who just started in the last month to do that as well. I also invite you guys to visit the website and go check. It was put live today, the Revelstoke Greeter website. It's not working yet because now we need some volunteers, but you can check it out. And I want to extend the thank you from all of our team from 2018. So thank you very much. And I'll pass it to Eva.
Hi everyone, I'm Eva Carpian and I've recently stepped into the role of Marketing Coordinator at Tourism Revelstoke. Tourism Revelstoke is the umbrella organisation which houses the Revelstoke Accommodation Association and the Tourism Department of the Revelstoke Chamber of Commerce. This presentation builds on what was presented by Megan Tabor on behalf of the RAA in February and focuses on the role delivered by Sarah Peterson in 2018. As a destination marketing organisation, our role is to provide a consistent and authentic representation of Revelstoke and market it. The statistics that Guylaine mentioned earlier demonstrate the impact and reach of tourism marketing initiatives since the DMO was established in 2008. What is difficult to quantify but is evident when you look around Revelstoke is the positive impact of this investment on the local economy. As a DMO, we are uniquely positioned to gauge Revelstoke's local economy, being co-located with Community Futures, the Visitor Information Centre, Community Economic Development, and the Chamber of Commerce. Engaging with local businesses and supporting them by marketing Revelstoke to the right audiences is one of our main priorities. A big part of our push in 2018 was to develop a recognisable destination brand which accurately captures the identity of Revelstoke. We work closely with CNB Advertising and the Revelstoke Tourism Advisory Committee to identify what Revelstoke stands for and how the community wanted to be represented. This video was developed by CNB Advertising to tell the story of our new brand.
Here, you earn it. You've come further, reached deeper, wanted more. Because here, adventure is real, but the rewards, unreal. Cut from wood and blasted from rock, connected by steel and bonded by people. This place has always been more than just a stopover. This is the definitive mountain destination. This is Revelstoke.
So this new look our new look was underpinned by 4 core values: adventure, authenticity, nature, and heritage. The logo is inspired by the original hand-painted sign of the historic Revelstoke railway station. Since we revealed the new brand on January 31st, we've been sharing our new look, updating it on our digital platforms and around town. The aim is for the brand to become the recognisable face of Revelstoke. We've also had significant community support, including from local businesses like Royal LePage, who have chosen to incorporate it into their logo. The initiatives we deliver are guided by the 2018-2022 Destination Tourism Strategy, which was developed in partnership with the Community Economic Development and tourism stakeholders. This is something you guys have seen before when Meet and presented. Our planning priorities are to achieve a year-round destination, a multi-day stay, a recognisable destination brand, exceptional visitor servicing, visitor access, financial stability, annual tactile marketing plans and robust digital marketing strategies, and a plan for the long-term sustainability of tourism marketing and Revelstoke. This strategy is delivered in a number of ways, and today we'll give a brief snapshot of our core initiatives specific to the role of marketing coordinator. In 2018, we produced a number of resources to support visitor access and servicing, including a visitor experience guide, which you have in front of you, a city map, museums and gallery brochure, hiking guide, and a number of other guides. These materials are racked in businesses throughout town, as well as the ferry and various regional airports, including Kelowna. Our digital and social advertising reached 7.9 million people around the world. The power of our social platforms grew significantly in 2018, which was supported by bringing on a social media coordinator, a contracted position which is supported by the RAA. Print and digital advertising was supported by investment in various types of content, including photography, videography, and blogs, which push audiences back to our website. Yeah. Show that.
It's really short.
And just quickly, in 2019, our digital strategy will have a real focus on community engagement, local business engagement, and influencer engagement. Thanks for your time, and if you guys have any questions for
And we would like to also extend an invite to Mayor and Council. In the past, we've had several members come and join our Visitor Centre team for an hour or 2 hours in the busy months of July and August, just to kind of see where the guests are from, what they're doing here, just hear for yourself, and kind of see the knowledge that our team extends to these visitors to hopefully, they come back and extend their stay. A lot just simply stop in on the highway. So our goal is to try to get them back the following summer when they're planning their summer trip if this was not their destination. So we'll be sending out special invites, and it's no pressure to come, but if you guys can make the time, we'd love to have you and join our team for a couple hours. Is there any questions right now from our presentation?
Councillors, any questions or comments that you'd like to make to these ladies? Councillor Charlotte?
Thanks for coming to see that. It's always exciting to see how much you guys do. Although I just wanted to put it on the video or record, I know there's in minutes, that I'm a little sad that there's so few listings in the wellness and downtown sections. That our downtown is a huge asset. I've been pushing for years that if we're going to get people to stay here for multiple nights and to bring their families with them, they need to know it exists. And a lot of the wives and the partners that might not be so extreme sporting types won't even bother coming because they have no idea how much we have. So I just wanted to say that I'm a little bit disappointed that that is the case.
It's great.
Any
Feedback, yeah.
further comment?
I just have a little comment about, I can't find it now. Yeah, the budget. So those tourism marketing numbers, those are in addition to the support that you guys get from the RIA, like the MRDT, right?
Yeah,
so that's
historically, sorry.
No, sorry, yeah, just a portion of the city budget that goes towards those initiatives.
Yes.
And is there any appetite to increase those amounts? Because I know there is some unused funds, right, from the MRDT tax?
That's a raw ask, and we do ask them for funding every year, which they've increased. So historically, it was matched by the city when it was first came to be as a fee-for-service for us. And over the years, we have requested and pitched to them, and they have applied more funding, but the city has stayed the same.
Right.
So the concern is that RAW also can't just be the only one increasing the funding, because it was set up as an agreement between the organizations and the city at the time. So it would involve, that's why we are looking to ask the city for an increase now. It's been over 5 years for our 2020 budget.
And obviously, we will consider to ask Raw as well. It brings great benefit to what the Emerity funds are used for. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
It
yeah.
seems like a good match, but it seems like you're already tapping into that.
Yes, yeah.
Like if I can add, the RA already, since I've been there for 4 years, they actually increased their funding to the visitor center by 400% already.
How about the chamber? The chamber, it's funded through businesses' memberships.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit organization,
Yeah.
so it's, and we're primarily grant funded as well as the funds that we receive through member applications and
And
funds.
membership's growing, improving.
Yeah, memberships are growing, but it's a small amount every year because there's only so many businesses opening every year. So, yeah, we're definitely working on it and trying to get more members active and involved with the chamber, and then just through other initiatives, selling, advertising and whatnot, will bring in some funds as well. So as a nonprofit, we all kind of just really thrive on a lot of the grants, and a lot of it isn't a sure thing.
You're limited by the lack of commercial space.
We are in the sense that just with the amount of tourism growing, we really have identified the need for more bathrooms, for example, and better servicing to the visitors that are coming, to have potable drinking water and just to ensure that experience is good. As our team grows, certainly we would perhaps need bigger commercial space for sure, which we do foresee over the next 5 to 10 years, absolutely.
There doesn't seem to be any vacancies in our town, or very few.
For other businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in a great location right now, which is a huge bonus for that. Since the visitor center did move to that location, there's a significant increase for sure. We're really easy to find off the highway. And we are one of the fastest growing from Destination BC visitor centers in all of BC, just how our numbers grow every year and the amount of people that actually stop in here. So,
Values you had listed there, I think in the tourism thing, can transfer easily to our, maybe possibly our OCP, emphasizing the heritage and recreation and the diversity in our town. I think that's a big one. And just one more question, on the number of beds in town, how many hotel rooms do we have?
2,100.
2,100.
And essential reservation system is not in the works, or is it part of the discussion?
Yeah, it's in the works. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's funded by
RA.
RA,
Yeah.
Local Columbia Trust. I mean, it's a big step. It may take a lot of pressure off the visitor center, first of all, getting people online.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you jump on the website at the moment, it's been reskinned since the rebranding, and we also have a new booking referral system for the accommodators, but that's something that in future stages, the RA would really like to expand.
And do you think that'll help the tourism and draw more people who are coming?
It will definitely make an ease of access to get here for their pathway to travel to Revelstoke and just to do the research. But as Galen mentioned in her presentation, the amount of increase in digital ask in terms of how many hours our staff now spends online responding to requests is exponential compared to even what it was 2 years ago. And it's a certainly way travelers book, whether it's on their cell phone or on their laptop. So for sure, we all strongly feel that would be a huge asset for our market moving forward.
Yeah, the visitor services are not necessarily going away, they're just changing, the trends are just changing. We're still doing the same thing, but online now instead of in person. Although our numbers keep growing every year here in Revelstoke, it's not the case everywhere in BC, but it is in all of the resort communities.
Sort of. 2,100 beds, does that include the Airbnbs?
That would include just everything legal.
Just all the legal.
That's the
Those are hotel.
Those are MRDT collectors.
So beds in hotels, and so the registered Airbnbs are 170? Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers of registered.
They don't deal with you at all, the Airbnbs don't
We don't
contribute?
work with the
No, unless
Not
they're a
even
chamber member.
B&Bs themselves don't contribute generally either, because they don't pay the MRDT tax. So there's a difference between those hotel accommodators and B&Bs.
So
Different
the
from Airbnb.
funding you're looking for, the Airbnbs and the vacation homes could be a source of contribution or support for that tourism.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those are things we'll look at in the future. So, ladies, thank you for coming. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your work. I've been here a long, long time, and so for me, when I walk down the street and I hear the accents of the people who come from different countries, I'm one person who grins from ear to ear. And as I hear the three of you with different accents, it's like we have the UN right there at our visitor center. Thank you for that. I'd be interested in talking to you about the Global Greeter program and being involved in that. So my wife and I tend to go out for dinner one day a week if we can and meet people who come from different countries. So in speaking to some people who you talked a little bit about, or Councillor Sherlett said, where people would come and the spouse isn't into the sports. So I met a couple who have come here for 10 years, or the male partner has come for 10 years for skiing, and his wife had never come. And this year she came. They came all the way from Nova Scotia and loved it here. So to be able to interact with them and actually get emails back from them. And then I met another couple who drove up from Utah to ski. And their comment was a little bit of a convoluted drive to get here. I love that to some degree because that means that they want to come here and had a wonderful time. So thank you for what you're doing and for all those who are involved with the Chamber and the work that you do. We appreciate all the visitors that come and we're grateful to you for reaching out to them in whatever capacity that you can to let them know that we've got a beautiful little treasure here. So thank you. And thank you for coming to present to us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Okay, we're going to move on to number 9A. There's a motion on the new package if somebody would like to bring that forward. Councilor Brookshaw.
The 2019 revenue anticipation borrowing bylaw number 2122 being bylaw to provide for the borrowing of money in anticipation of revenue be given first, second, and third reading.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councilor Sherlett. Any discussion on the motion? Go ahead.
I'm curious which projects that it's talking about that we anticipate we might have to spend money before we get the grant money.
It was some of the larger, the grant, the Big Eddy and the roundabout, there's been some spending and the grants aren't coming back as quickly as what we anticipated.
Mr. Schwartz.
Your Worship, just a quick question on the dollar amount in the bylaw, because I didn't see this before just now. $11.87 million is 75% of last year's taxes?
And grants in blue and 1% utility, that's what you add up.
Okay, because I figured you've included more things than just taxes.
That's the
So
way
it amounts to come out of the government's.
it is, exactly. It's property taxation and equivalents, which is what those are.
Right, so that'd be the help from hydro.
And the 1%, exactly, the 1% utility.
Because the number looked too high to be just 75% of just taxes.
Yes. Any other questions, concerns on this?
Is the start date on the roundabout? Has any idea or any?
No, we're still waiting. CP Rail's been presented with a memorandum of understanding to allow us to do some of the deep infrastructure utility works. I think we probably don't expect construction to start until the fall. There'd be a negotiation around the purchase of the land necessary, then constructing a wide. Probably not during the height of summer we'll be tearing out up there.
Okay, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Go on to 11A. We have a presentation, Mr. Osman, Ms. Wade.
Okay, we're back. So, Your Worship, members of council, this is the presentation for the initiation of development variance permit located at 1633 Mason Road. This is up in Arrow Heights. Here's a quick overview of the zoning and the official community plan land use. So this is our R1 zoning for single-family dwellings, which is what is being constructed on this property. And our official community plan is land uses for the same. So for this variance, this is a unique situation whereby you have a property that's located within that corner of that road, and it's created an arc-shaped lot line, which is push the setback, the actual setback back quite substantially when compared to a property that has a standard straight front lot line. So during construction, it was discovered that the foundation was poured 0.24 meters too close, 24 centimeters, too close to the within the front setback. So that building placement was also influenced by the septic requirements located in the rear of the property, as well as that arced front lot line. So this variance is to accommodate for that. It's to accommodate the building encroachment into the front yard setback and to relax the setback distance for the front yard from 6 meters to 5.76. So here's a quick little diagram of the site constraints. So just you can see here, it doesn't show up well on the screen as well as it does on my computer in the office, but it has the proposed setback lot line is this blue line here. The 6 meter line is in orange here. And the septic fields of each are 300 square feet are set back or set here, which leaves this buildable area here. So our recommendation is to commence the 10-day notification process under the Development Approvals and Procedures Bylaw of 2097 and the Local Government Act to provide notices to property owners and tenants within 100 meters of the subject property to let them know that council is considering this variance. All right, I know that was brief. Do you have any questions?
So, Mr. President, this building's already built. It's just a matter of going through the motions now to make them legal. Is that correct?
It's under construction. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions, Councilor Purcell?
I noticed in the report it mentions that our zoning bylaw doesn't deal with an arc property line. So I'm guessing what we could have is that you would take an average of the arc.
Yes.
In this case, the average it would probably fit in.
That's right. And so other municipalities have accommodations within their zoning bylaws to accommodate for arced lot lines. There's different ways of doing it. You could take, you could say, do like you say, like take an average off the front there. There's other ways where you could measure back from on the two corners and draw a straight line across from 6 meters, and that also helps relax that. There's a variety of ways to go about it.
Any further questions? Councilor Sherwood?
And since we're asking questions and learning about things, what is the rationale of the 6 meter setback from the front? What does that normally leave room for?
Car?
A driveway.
Yeah.
And it varies, some of the front yard setbacks throughout the zones, whether they're 6 meters or 7.5 meters.
Yeah.
So just depending on the area that it's in and how the subdivision was done under that zoning.
Right.
So that's one, but the standard actually has been typically 7.5.
Okay, so
Yeah.
a smaller setback.
Mr. Sherwood?
And in some communities, they'll regulate the maximum setback, and the goal is to promote rhythm and harmony of the aggregate streetscape for feel of neighborhood, right?
Okay, that's fair. Makes sense.
Because, we've got a minimum, but we don't have a maximum, so you can have one set much further back than the
Precedes
remaining.
of our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
And we actually have that in some of the neighborhoods downtown.
Yeah.
We have some houses that are closer to the streetscape and some in the back where you can barely see.
Way back. Yeah, I've seen that.
And if I could just add to that averaging that Mr. Chabot was talking about, to do the fenestration on the streetscape, if we had an averaging, then we would be able to actually, in a subdivision, when you actually do the subdivision plan, do placements of building envelopes to get that fenestration. And so two things that are the lessons learned from this is, one, we need to amend the zoning bylaw for averaging, which is on our list.
Okay, great.
And we can bring that forward as not as part of updating the zoning bylaw, but as just one of those items we can bring forward as one issue and sort of deal with that, so we can move that forward. So we're going to do that, exactly. And the other thing is when we do subdivisions, it's very important that we actually, in our lot layouts, actually identified the building envelopes to avoid these constraints between septic or what we're trying to achieve in fenestration of streets and things like that, environmental areas and things. It's standard best practices to actually have layouts of where the building envelope is and what does that look like, so that when somebody goes to get their building permit, they know exactly where to build. So that's our next thing to clean up. Thanks.
Awesome.
Any further questions?
Just,
Councilor Elliott?
is it standard policy for a minor deviation from the regulations to bring it to council?
Well,
Because couldn't this be empowered to the development department?
very good question, through the chair. So there's a couple ways of going at it. One, in this case, actually, we would probably deem this a little more of a hardship case. And if we had the Board of Variance up and running and sort of dealt with that, we could just take it to the Board of Variance and they can make that decision on those sort of hardship cases. Which is another thing that we're looking at, is bringing forward the Board of Variance bylaw, because it needed some revisions and is on our work plan, and then going forward with that. So we're hoping to bring that forward in the next month so that we can do that, so that we don't have to come to council for
Yeah,
this.
for minor issues like that, it seems like it's a time this gentleman will probably stop working.
But otherwise, a variance under the Local Government Act has to come to council.
Yeah.
Mr. Chabot?
Just to go a little bit further, because you're going to, I guess, see a staff report about amendments to the Board of Variance bylaw. Statutorily, we're obligated to have one, and there's two considerations they have to make before they consider issuing a permit, and the notice requirements are just the same for them. We have to convene special notice of a meeting of the Board of Variance. Somebody has to take the minutes. It doesn't really reduce the time a lot, but their first consideration is, does compliance with your land use regulation impose an undue hardship on them? And I would argue that just because somebody built their house in the wrong place doesn't mean that constitutes that there was an undue hardship. There was a mistake. And the only variances they can approve are minor. Now, neither of those terms are defined. There's no definition of what an undue hardship is. Sometimes a lot has a rock outcropping, and you can't put a structure physically there and meet zoning setbacks. So that's an example of an undue hardship. But then minor, how much can they vary, right? You've got a minimum 6-yard front setback, so is anything less than a 3-meter relaxation minor? Or is it got to be as minor as 24 centimeters? It's a little fuzzy. They're a funny thing.
Yeah, but if there are simple ones, I mean, a foot or a foot difference.
And the thing is, to Mr. Chabot's points, there's things that we can define in the revision to the Board of Variance bylaw to manage what minor hardship and all that is, which is what we're looking at and bringing forward. So that's it, because it does from a staff perspective anyways, the amount of time, reports and things like that, there could be a little more streamlined.
Yeah, and I think we should recognize that any delay on a building project, it's costing someone something.
And the ones that you're going to see that are going to frustrate you that happen from time to time too is often siting of manufactured or mobile homes.
Yes.
When they developed the foundation, we dropped it, and it's 3 centimeters too close. It's that much into the required setback. Well, we don't have the option to decide when we're going to enforce the zoning reg. So it has to come to council to clean that up. And you say, well, what are you guys doing? We're just following what the bylaw says, because we're not granted the discretion to decide when it's not necessary to meet it.
Okay. Any further questions on the matter that's at hand here? So I'm going to ask if there's anyone that wants to put a motion on the table. We're going to do this in 2 parts. Is that correct, Ms. Sulz?
Yeah, you're going to approve the application.
Councilor Barcel?
The application DVP 2018-09 be approved.
Is there a second for that motion? Councilor Ryan? Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. On to number 2. Somebody want to move that? Councilor Barcel?
The council gives notice of their intention to consider the issuance of DVP number DVP 2018-09 for 1633 Mason Road to vary the following sections of zoning bylaw number 1264 I-716B in order to permit reduction of the minimum front yard setback from 6 meters to 5.76 meters.
Councilor Ryan is seconding that. Any discussion
presentation. So this is a development variance permit. This is another unique situation. So 905 Oscar Street. This variance has been triggered because of a subdivision application for the property. So as part of our subdivision process, we typically do road dedication, and that's to achieve rights of way that are set out in our subdivision servicing bylaw. So in this particular case, we identified, the city identified through the referral process when we send out subdivisions to various internal departments, that a 20-meter road right-of-way would need to be established on so Humbert Street and Oscar Street, as well as establish a corner cut on the property since the property is on a corner. So what has happened is there was a building permit issued, and the building is under construction. And the subdivision application came later. So the building permit was issued under the previous setbacks before the road dedication was considered. And so now that there's a subdivision application coming forward with the need to dedicate road, the building that is under construction would fall out of compliance with those with the setbacks that had previously been considered. So what we're looking at here is just creating or passing a variance that would accommodate the nonconformance on the Humbert Street side to address this issue. So if we take a look here, here's the site. We have it's within our T4 limited OCP land use and our R2A zone located in south side, where single-family homes are permitted. So here's sort of a diagram of the variance. So on the Humbert Street side, we'd be taking 0.79 meters just off Humbert Street here, and that would effectively impact the building which is under construction here. And so the building was built, or the building permit was issued with the distance between the building and the Humbert Street property line at 3.16 meters. And so when we take 0.79 meters, that makes it fall out of compliance from the 3-meter required setback. So we've requested that to be varied to 2.37 meters. So our recommendation is to commence the 10-day notification process under the Development Approvals Procedures Bylaw 2097, as well as the Local Government Act, and to provide those notices to property owners and tenants for the 100-meter subject property.
Awesome, thank you. Councilor Short.
I'm curious about the subdivision. Like, what's getting subdivided?
So it's the property here. It's being subdivided into 2 parcels.
Oh, okay.
Just right there. And so typically as part of our subdivision process, we do road dedication to amend the property line. Yeah.
Okay. And is that normal to look for a subdivision after you've started building your house?
It's not typically how it goes. Typically subdivision is something that comes first. This is a unique situation in the sense that I'm not sure where it came in the decision-making process to do the subdivision, but typically the subdivision comes first, and that's sort of how our bylaws are set up to deal with it.
Right, because then we would know when they would be right at the board house.
Right.
And just if I can expand on that too, so what's happened is it's the completion, that corner lot kind of completes the completion of the road right-of-way going down Oscar and Humboldt, so that we actually get the full 20 meters, because other areas have already taken that land, so it's kind of a remnant piece. Like it's the last piece to complete the right-of-way to those corners there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no intention to expand the road. This is just lines on a map, right?
Yeah, so this actually gives, so under subdivision.
So he's got a setback, they're currently 3.16, and he's just over with the new subdivision line, he's encroaching onto the proposed or future road right away.
watching, he'll be, what happens is, so the road right-of-way comes in, and then it should be 3 meters back from there, but instead it's only going to be 2.37. So he's not going to be encroaching into the road right-of-way. That's preserved for future road construction and whatever goes with our capital projects. But what it does is he's not conforming anymore. So now we have to just adjust that variance so that it's not 3, but 2.37.
So as it sits right now, it's one single lot
Yes.
and one unit on it. It's got the
Yes.
potential to put
Another house.
Another house. Another house. So subdividing after the fact to give you more housing in our community is the bad thing. Correct. So it's a good thing.
Exactly.
So that should be checked, right?
And it's a win-win, the city gets the remainder of the land too, that they need for the road right-of-way.
Yeah, so again, I go back and say, that's a minor. To me, what's the big objective? To increase the housing here as quickly as we can. Check. Let's get on.
But we have to follow our.
I know it's policy, but bureaucracy is one thing.
Yeah, but now we're getting off track, and I appreciate where you're coming from, but we're going to deal with this issue, and we'll deal with that while I down the road. I think, as you mentioned, it's a great way to infill. It's a great way to. There's never been a house on that corner, from my understanding, unless it's been longer than 40 years ago. I don't remember seeing this. Okay, so any further questions? Councillor Elliott, do you have any further questions? Is there someone who would like to put this motion on the table? Councillor Ryan.
The council gives notice of their intention to consider the issuance of development permit number DVP 2019-03 for 905 Oscar Street, Lot B, Section 26, Township 23, Range 2, west of the 6th Meridian, Kootenai District Plan, NEP 91585, except plans as listed in the minutes, to vary and follow provisions from zoning bylaw number 11264 and the sections outlined in the minutes.
Is there a second to that motion? Councillor Charlotte. Any further discussion on this motion? Mr. Charlotte.
Your Worship, just in case people didn't notice, this one's being done a little bit differently than the last one. You had 2 resolutions on notice. One was approve an application. This one doesn't include that. Typically, when a person makes application for a land use change or regulation, council's first step is to either approve, deny, or amend the application. In this case, it's the city making application on behalf of the owner, so there is no application, and the city doesn't have to make, and the council doesn't have to make application to amend its own bylaws. So that's why there's one step less on this one than there was on the other.
Thank you for that clarification. Anything further? Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Appreciate that. Correspondence. There's a letter in your package requesting us to approve or at least send a letter of support for RCMP Appreciation Day. Any comments on that letter? I think from my perspective, I would be willing to send a letter of support for an RCMP Appreciation Day. We don't make any proclamations here in the city, but I'd definitely be willing to send a letter of support from Mayor and Council suggesting that go forward, and then that could go to the people that are wanting this done, and they could go to the province asking for that. Is that pretty much it, Staff Sergeant?
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you. So there's no motion here, but would you, as councillors, be comfortable with that sort of thing happening where we send a letter of support? Great. Thank you. Okay. Do we need a resolution on that? Okay. Somebody want to make a resolution on that we send a letter of support? Councillor Charlotte, Councillor Ryan, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Special Advisory Planning Commission meeting minutes of February 5th, 2019. Any comments or concerns on that? Anyone want to encroach or ask questions about that? Hearing none, and seeing we don't have any members of the press here, I'm going to ask for us to move in camera pursuant to sections 90.1A of the Community Charter. Do we have a motion? Councillor Ryan, second to Councillor Charlotte.